2 years later, Riggs still took up too much space in my apartment. Not physically. Well, sometimes physically. Her boots were currently abandoned in the middle of the hallway, like she had kicked them off mid-emergency and then forgotten feet existed. Her hoodie was draped over the back of my chair. Her keys were on the kitchen counter, somehow beside the fruit bowl instead of the little tray I had bought for that exact purpose. And her half-empty mug of coffee was sitting on the windowsill. Again. I stood in the living room doorway, staring at it. Riggs! From the bedroom, her voice came back immediately.
Whatever it is, I can explain.
You don't even know what I'm looking at.
That's why the explanation is going to be so impressive.
She appeared a second later, pulling on a dark, oversized shirt, hair still damp from the shower and sticking up slightly at the front. She looked half asleep, smug for no reason, and far too pleased with herself for someone who had already created chaos before breakfast. I pointed at the windowsill. Riggs followed my finger, saw the mug, and paused like she had come face to face with an old enemy.
That is unfortunate.
That is your mug.
That is a mug, yes.
It's the chipped black one you refuse to throw away because you said it has character.
It does have character.
It has a crack.
So do I.
She picked it up and gave me the faintest grin over the rim.
Still lovable.
I tried not to smile. Riggs noticed and took a victorious sip of the abandoned coffee before immediately regretting every choice that had led her there. Her face twisted.
Cold.
You got what you deserved.
That came from your whole chest.
I've been waiting for the coffee to humble you. She looked into the mug, offended.
After everything we've been through?
You left it on a windowsill overnight.
It was finding itself.
It found bacteria. Riggs stared at the coffee like it had betrayed her personally, then took another sip. I watched her in disbelief. Why are you still drinking it?
Because now it's a matter of pride.
It's a matter of food poisoning.
I've survived worse.
That is not the inspirational quote you think it is. She smiled into the mug, and I hated how easily my chest warmed at the sight. 2 years, and she still did that to me. Made me want to laugh when I was trying to be annoyed. Made my flat feel lived in, even when she left chaos in every corner. Made ordinary mornings feel like something I would have once been too afraid to ask for. I used to notice the spaces Riggs left behind. Now I noticed all the ways she stayed. The chipped mug, the boots in the hallway, the spare hoodie I complained about but wore when she wasn't looking, the phone charger that had become mine, then hers, then somehow ours. The little things that used to feel dangerous because they meant someone was close enough to leave evidence. With Riggs, they had become proof of something else. Not that she had taken over my life, only that she had made a home inside it. Riggs finally carried the mug to the sink, moving with the dramatic heaviness of a woman laying a fallen soldier to rest. I folded my arms. Was that difficult for you?
Emotionally, yes.
It was 3 steps.
And yet I made the journey.
Should I clap?
I'd prefer a kiss, but I'm open to an applause.
I shook my head, but I was already smiling properly now, which meant she had won, and we both knew it. Riggs leaned back against the counter, watching me with that soft, annoying look she got when she was pleased with herself, but trying not to show it too much. What? I asked.
Nothing.
You're looking at me like that again.
Like what?
Like you're about to say something that will annoy me. Her mouth curved.
You look pretty when you're pretending I annoy you.
You do annoy me.
Yeah, but you like it.
I tolerate it.
You kissed me after I drank windowsill coffee. That's not tolerance, Elle. That's commitment.
I have not kissed you.
Yet.
I stared at her. She grinned. There it was. That version of her I used to ache for when everything was broken. The one who could be impossible and soft in the same breath. the one who had taken so long to come back fully after her mum died. Not because she had stopped being Rigz, but because grief had wrapped itself around every part of her and made even happiness feel like something she had to apologize for. She didn't apologize for it as much anymore. Not for laughing, not for being loved, not for staying. And maybe that was one of the things I loved most now. The way she let herself take up space and joy again, even if that space included mugs on windowsills and boots designed specifically to end my life before 9 a.m. Riggs pushed off the counter and came towards me. Slowly, but not cautiously anymore. Not the way she used to in the beginning, when every movement asked whether I still wanted her near. 2 years had changed that. Trust had changed that. Repetition had changed that. She still asked when it mattered, but she no longer moved through my apartment like a guest waiting to be told she could stay. She belonged here. Her hands found my waist, warm through my top, and mine slid up around her neck before I could decide whether I was still pretending to be irritated. "You smell like my shampoo," I said. Riggs leaned closer.
Your shampoo smells better.
"You said it was too floral."
It is.
"And yet?"
And yet, I like smelling like you.
I looked away first, because even after 2 years, Riggs still had a talent for saying things that made my heart stumble around like it had no training. She smiled against my cheek.
There she is.
"Who?"
The woman who pretends she doesn't blush.
"I will push you."
Push me.
"Into the windowsill. We'll reunite you with your coffee." Riggs laughed, and the sound moved through the kitchen like light. Then she kissed me. Softly at first, casual enough that it could have been part of any morning. But then her hands tightened slightly at my waist, and the kiss lingered, warm and slow and familiar in a way that still made something in me go quiet. Not from fear, from peace. When she pulled back, her forehead rested against mine for a second.
You ready?
I opened my eyes. "For our anniversary date?" Riggs smiled, brushing her thumb over my waist.
That would be the one.
"You're very proud of yourself for planning this, aren't you?"
A little.
"A lot."
Maybe a normal amount.
"Riggs, you told me last night to wear something comfortable but cute, then refused to explain why. That is not normal."
That's called being mysterious.
"That's called being annoying." She grinned.
It's mysteriously romantic.
I rolled my eyes, but I couldn't stop the smile pulling at my mouth. 2 years. Somehow, it had been 2 years since the first day I walked into her garage with my broken-down car and a bad attitude I still maintain was completely justified. 2 years since Riggs looked at me like she already knew I was going to ruin her life a little. 2 years since everything began. Riggs leaned in and kissed my forehead, soft enough that my teasing faded for a second.
Come on. I want today to be nice.
My chest warmed. "It already is." Her smile softened.
Good. Then let me make it nicer.
I grabbed my jacket from the chair while Riggs collected her keys from the counter, twirling them once around her finger before catching them in her palm. "Food is involved, right?" I asked. Riggs looked offended.
Do you think I'd plan an anniversary date without food?
"I think you once called a packet of chips and 2 coffees a balanced lunch."
That was during a crisis.
"It was just a Tuesday."
It was a Tuesday crisis.
I slipped my jacket on, smiling as she held the door open for me.
After you.
"How charming."
I can be charming.
I stepped into the hallway, and Riggs followed, locking the door behind us before sliding her hand into mine like it belonged there. Because it did. "So," I said as we started down the hall, "am I allowed to know where we're going?" Riggs glanced at me.
No.
That was quick.
You ask too many questions.
I ask the right amount of questions.
You once asked me if mechanics have secret handshakes.
That was a valid question.
It really wasn't.
You hesitated before answering.
Because I was deciding whether to lie to see your reaction.
I looked at her. She grinned.
Relax. You'll like it.
That's what you said before you took me to that bowling place and claimed you were naturally gifted.
I was.
You lost.
Emotionally, I won.
You sulked for 20 minutes.
I was reflecting.
You threw a fry at the score screen.
It needed humbling.
Riggs laughed, pulling me gently closer as we walked. And because I loved her, because I trusted her, because 2 years had turned following Riggs into something that no longer felt like risk, I went with her. By the time we reached the lake, the sun had started lowering behind the trees. It turned the water gold in places, soft orange light stretching across the surface. The air was cooler here, quieter too, with only the faint sound of birds moving through the branches and the soft crunch of our footsteps along the path. I slowed the second I realized where we were. Riggs glanced at me, her fingers still laced through mine. My favorite place? I asked softly. Her smile was small, almost nervous.
And it's also mine now.
My chest tightened. I looked back at the water, at the familiar curve of the path, at the place that had once belonged only to me before Riggs had somehow become part of it too.
This is where our story fully started. When we shared our first kiss.
I swallowed because I remembered it too clearly. The way she had looked at me that day, the way the air had shifted, the way one kiss had turned something uncertain into something impossible to ignore. You remembered, I whispered. Riggs's thumb brushed over my hand.
Of course I remembered.
For a second, neither of us moved. The lake shimmered in front of us, quiet and golden, holding the beginning of us like it had been waiting for us to come back. Then Riggs cleared her throat. Not loudly, just enough to pull me out of the memory. I looked at her, and she was already slipping the bag from her shoulder. I blinked. What's that?
A bag.
I gave her a look. Her mouth twitched.
A very useful bag.
Riggs? She crouched down and started pulling things out before I could question her properly. A folded blanket first, then a small box of food, 2 drinks, napkins, a packet of strawberries still in the shop container. Something wrapped in foil that immediately made me suspicious. I stared at her. When did you make all this? Riggs glanced up at me, trying to look casual and failing badly.
When you were in the shower.
I looked at the picnic, then at her. You made a picnic while I was washing my hair?
You take ages.
I was conditioning.
You were gone long enough for me to create an outdoor dining experience.
A dining experience? She shook the blanket open with far too much confidence.
Don't mock the chef.
You made sandwiches, didn't you?
Romantic sandwiches.
So, sandwiches.
Sandwiches made with love.
I laughed, and something in her face softened at the sound. She laid the blanket down near the water, smoothing the corners with her hands, then placed everything in the middle with the kind of focus she usually reserved for engines, and pretending she wasn't sulking when she lost at bowling. It wasn't perfect. One of the foil parcels was slightly squashed. The blanket refused to sit flat at one corner. Riggs had forgotten plates, apparently, and tried to pretend napkins had been the plan all along. But that was what made it feel like her. Trying so hard it nearly broke my heart. I lowered myself onto the blanket, watching as she sat beside me. You know, I said, this is dangerously close to being romantic. Riggs leaned back on her hands, looking out at the lake like she was pretending not to be pleased with herself.
Just close?
Don't get cocky.
Too late.
She smiled, then nudged her shoulder gently against mine. For a while, we ate without rushing. The sun kept dipping lower, painting the water in warmer shades, and Riggs kept making ridiculous comments every time something went wrong with the picnic. The drink hissed when she opened it. She panicked and pointed it away from me like it was about to explode. A strawberry rolled off the blanket. She blamed the slope. One of the sandwiches fell apart in her hand. She looked at it, sighed, and said,
Still tastes like love.
I laughed until my stomach hurt. Riggs watched me through all of it. Not in the way she used to when she was trying to hide how much she wanted me. Not in the way she had after we almost lost each other, like my happiness was something fragile she was afraid to touch. This was different. Like she loved me and knew she was allowed to let that show. What? I asked eventually, still smiling. Riggs shook her head.
Nothing.
She looked at me then, the sunset catching the side of her cheek, turning her eyes warmer than I was ready for.
I just like seeing you happy.
The words sat between us quietly. After 2 years, Riggs had become very good at that. I leaned into her side, resting my head against her shoulder. She softened immediately beneath me. This is nice, I murmured. Her cheek brushed lightly against my hair.
It's not over yet.
I lifted my head. Riggs was looking at the lake. The sun had dropped lower now, the sky soft pink and orange at the edges. Its reflection shimmered across the water, bright enough that for a second everything looked unreal. Then Riggs stood. I looked up at her. What are you doing? She wiped her palms on her jeans.
Trying not to throw up.
I blinked. How romantic.
Not my best opening.
I laughed once, but it faded when I saw her face. She was nervous. Not in the teasing way, not in the way she got before trying something new and pretending she had complete confidence. This was different. Her eyes were shining, her hands were trembling slightly. My heart gave one hard beat. Riggs? She breathed out, and for a second, she looked at the lake instead of me.
I had a speech.
My throat tightened. You did?
Yeah. It was awful.
She looked down at our joined hands, thumb brushing over my knuckles once, then twice, like she was trying to steady herself through the feel of me.
I tried to make it sound, I don't know, perfect, just like you deserve. I wrote it out 3 times. First one sounded like I was trying too hard. Second one sounded like I'd swallowed a romance novel. Third one was probably fine. But every time I imagined saying it to you, none of it felt big enough.
She let out a shaky breath. Her eyes lifted to mine, and the smile she tried to give me didn't quite hold.
So I'm just going to say it badly.
Her mouth trembled.
And you're going to have to forgive me for that, because I'm nervous, and I love you, and I don't think my brain is doing anything useful right now.
A tear slipped down her cheek before she seemed to realize it had fallen. She didn't wipe it away.
The first day I met you, you came into my garage all flustered about your broken-down car. You were stressed, annoyed, trying so hard to act like you had everything under control when you very clearly did not.
A tiny smile pulled at her mouth.
And I remember thinking, you were trouble. Beautiful trouble. The kind I wanted to keep around before I even understood why.
Her fingers tightened around mine.
I didn't know then. I didn't know you'd become the person I wanted to come home to. I didn't know your laugh would become my favorite sound. I didn't know I'd start measuring my days by whether I got to see you at the end of them.
Her voice cracked.
I didn't know someone could feel like peace and danger at the same time.
She glanced down, shaking her head like she was trying not to fall apart too quickly.
And then I did what I always did back then. I got scared. Life got hard, and I ran into myself. I shut doors you were standing right in front of. I let you love me from the outside, because letting you in meant admitting I was breaking.
I swallowed hard.
I don't think I will ever stop being sorry for that.
The lake shimmered behind her, gold and pink beneath the setting sun. But Riggs didn't look away from me.
I didn't expect you to give me another chance. Not really. I hoped for it because I'm selfish, and because I couldn't imagine a life where I had lost you for good. But I didn't expect it. And I definitely didn't expect you to give me another chance to love you right this time.
My chest tightened until breathing hurt. Riggs gave a broken little laugh, wiping quickly at her cheek with the back of her hand.
See? This is where the speech was meant to be smooth. But I don't feel smooth. I feel like I'm standing in front of the best thing that has ever happened to me, trying not to mess up the part where I tell her she changed my whole life.
Her voice dropped softer.
You changed my whole life, Elara.
The words landed quietly.
You taught me that staying isn't just being in the room. It's telling the truth when it would be easier to hide. It's letting someone see the ugly parts without deciding for them that they can't handle it. It's choosing them when grief makes you want to disappear. It's choosing them when fear tells you to run.
Her hand trembled in mine.
And you chose me even after I made that hard.
She took a breath that sounded like it hurt.
I have loved you badly. I have loved you scared. I have loved you with one foot out the door because I didn't know how to believe anyone would stay if they saw all of me.
Her eyes held mine.
But I don't love you like that anymore.
A tear slipped down her face.
I love you with both feet planted. I love you with the truth. I love you in the mornings when you're grumpy and trying to pretend you don't want me to make the coffee. I love you when you laugh at me for burning toast. I love you when your head is on my shoulder and neither of us needs to say anything. I love you on the easy days, and I love you on the days that still hurt.
Her voice broke again, but she kept going.
And I need you to know something.
She stepped closer.
I'm not done proving it.
My eyes burned.
I'm never going to be done proving it.
Riggs's mouth trembled, but her voice steadied around the promise.
I will not stop proving my love for you for the rest of our lives. Not because I think you'll forget, not because I think I have to earn you every morning like some punishment, but because loving you properly is the greatest privilege of my life, and I never want to get lazy with it. I want to prove it when we're young and stupid and arguing over mugs on windowsills. I want to prove it when we're tired, when we're older, when life gets heavy again, because it will. I want you beside me for all of it, and I want to be beside you for all of yours.
She looked around at the lake for a second, eyes catching on the water, the trees, the sunset folding itself over the place that had held their first kiss. Then she looked back at me.
You brought me here once and shared your favorite place with me, and I don't think I understood then what that meant, not fully. I just knew that standing here with you felt like the beginning of something I didn't want to lose. This lake held our first kiss.
Her hand slipped into her pocket.
And I wanted it to hold this, too.
My breath stopped. Riggs lowered herself onto one knee. The world went silent. She pulled out a small ring box and opened it with shaking hands. The ring caught the sunset. Simple and beautiful.
The first day we met, it started because of your car, but it was never just the car.
Her smile broke.
It was you, Elara.
A tear slipped down her cheek.
It was always you.
She looked up at me like I was every road she had ever been trying to find.
Elara, will you marry me?
For a second, I couldn't speak. I couldn't do anything. The lake blurred behind her, the sunset, the trees, the blanket, the picnic she had made while I was in the shower. All of it softened into color and light until the only thing clear in the whole world was Rigz kneeling in front of me with tears on her face and forever held between shaking hands. I had thought I knew what love felt like with her. I had thought I knew all the shapes it could take. The first look across the garage, the first kiss by this lake, the heartbreak, the rain, the apology, the slow, quiet proof of her staying. But this was something else. This was Rigz looking up at me like she had placed every version of herself in my hands and was asking if I still wanted the future with all of them. My hand covered my mouth, but it didn't stop the sob that broke through. Riggs's face changed immediately. Not fear exactly.
Elara.
I nodded, but the tears were coming too fast. The words caught somewhere in my chest. Riggs stayed frozen on one knee, the ring box trembling slightly in her hand.
Is that a good cry or a bad cry? Because I'm really hoping it's a good cry, but I'm also very aware I've lost control of every part of my body right now.
A wet laugh escaped me. That was all it took. Riggs's eyes widened slightly, hope flickering across her face like sunrise. I dropped to my knees in front of her because standing suddenly felt impossible. The grass was cool beneath me, the blanket caught under my shin. I didn't care. Riggs sucked in a breath. I reached for her face with both hands, my thumbs brushing over the tears on her cheeks. "You absolute idiot," I whispered. Her mouth trembled.
That's not a no, right?
I shook my head quickly, laughing and crying all at once. "No." Her whole body went still.
No?
"No, it's not a no." My voice broke and I pressed my forehead to hers for half a second, because I needed to feel her there, real, warm, mine. "Yes, Riggs." Her breath left her like the word had knocked it out of her.
Yes?
I pulled back enough to look at her properly. Her eyes were wide and wet, her mouth parted like she didn't trust herself to believe me yet. "Yes," I said again, clearer this time. "Of course, yes." Riggs closed her eyes. For 1 second, she looked like she was trying to survive it. Then her face broke open. Not into pain, not into grief, into relief so raw it made me cry harder.
Oh my God.
I laughed through the tears. "You asked me."
I know, but you said yes.
That is usually how proposals work.
I know. I just didn't get that far in my head.
You didn't think about what happened after I said yes?
I was trying not to pass out before the question.
I smiled, crying again because she was ridiculous and trembling and mine. "The ring, Riggs." She blinked, then looked down at the box like she had completely forgotten it existed.
Right, yes, the ring. Important part.
Quite important. Her hands shook as she took it from the box, so badly that she stopped and let out a breathless, embarrassed laugh.
Sorry, I swear I can fix an engine with steadier hands than this.
"I'm not an engine."
No, you're more important than that.
My chest softened. I held out my hand. Riggs stared at it for a second, like the sight alone was too much. Then she took it carefully. Her fingers were warm around mine, unsteady, reverent. She slipped the ring onto my finger slowly, like rushing would somehow make the moment less real. It fit. Of course it did. For a second, we both just stared at it. The ring caught the last of the sunset, a small flash of light against my skin. simple and beautiful, and suddenly impossible to imagine not being there. Riggs's thumb brushed beneath it, careful. Then she looked up at me.
My fiancé.
She reached for me then, and I went willingly, folding into her arms right there on the blanket by the lake. Her arms wrapped around me tightly, but not like she was afraid I'd disappear anymore. Like she knew I had chosen to stay. Like she had too. I pressed my face into her shoulder, crying into the fabric of her shirt, while she laughed softly and cried against my hair.
You're going to marry me.
That is what yes means. She gave a broken little laugh and held me tighter.
I just need to keep hearing it.
I lifted my head enough to look at her. Her face was tear-streaked, her eyes bright, her smile shaking at the edges. So I took her hand, the one that had slid the ring onto mine, and pressed it against my chest. Yes, I said softly. I'm going to marry you. Riggs looked at me like those words had rewritten the whole sky. Then she kissed me. Not rushed, not desperate. Soft and shaking and full of everything that had brought us here. Her mouth trembled against mine, and I smiled into the kiss because I could feel her crying again. When we pulled back, she rested her forehead against mine.
I love you.
I lifted my hand between us, watching the ring catch the last gold of the evening. Then I looked at her. I know. Riggs laughed. I smiled. And I love you too. Her eyes closed. This time, when she opened them again, there was no fear in her face. Only love. Only wonder. Only home.